If you want to quit alcohol, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. If you're struggling to quit, the truth is you're probably just approaching it wrong. I've tried and failed to quit on many attempts, but now I'm coming up to 5 years sober. I've also made 100 YouTube videos on how to quit alcohol and a 7-day sober course, which I'm now making free. Link is in description, check it out. In this video, I'm going to give you the secret sauce on how to quit. I'm going to share with you 5 uncommon learnings that you can use to approach quitting alcohol that will give you the best possible chance. These are all things that sober people understand, but you might not. After I explain them all to you, it's going to make quitting alcohol feel effortless and something that you're going to feel excited about doing rather than feeling like a punishment. Now, I've tried and failed on so many attempts, but I'm now coming up to 5 years sober. The first uncommon learning is quitting alcohol isn't shameful and embarrassing. It's actually cool and sexy. According to a study by NC Solutions, 52% of Gen Z don't drink just because they don't want to. That shows a growing trend in the new generation ditching the booze for a more purposeful life. Also, 1 in 4 Americans did not drink any alcohol in 2024. That tells you all you need to know about where the drinking culture is headed. Have you ever wondered why, when you tell people that you're not drinking anymore, they always give you a quizzing, sympathetic response? Did you used to be an alcoholic? Which is actually a make-believe word. Did something bad happen to you? Well, yes, actually. I wasted 30% of my life drinking alcohol, then recovering from poison. Don't get me wrong, I fell victim to this as well. I didn't want to be labelled as someone who had a problem, so I went back to drinking just to fit in. But what I realised this time when I successfully quit was, I actually got a really interesting insight what alcohol drinkers thought about themselves and their relationship with drinking. I went on nights out, and after 10 p.m, the insights I got were astonishing. I had people coming up to me and asking me how I'd quit, and then later on sharing with me how they wish they could quit and how low self-worth they had in themselves. Now, this isn't me saying that I'm glad other people find it hard to stop. Now, I've actually made a free course on how to quit alcohol and over 100 YouTube videos, so that's not what I'm getting at here. But it helped me reframe my decision of quitting alcohol as something not to be embarrassed by, but to stand loud and proud with, rather than keeping quiet in case people thought I had some sort of problem. The more I abstain from alcohol, the more it reinforces my decision that quitting was the right thing to do. The next uncommon learning is thinking that when you quit alcohol, socializing will be hard. Now, this is the one that really gets people back to drinking once they've quit, myself included. Have you ever gone on a crazy weekend? Silly question if you're watching this video, but stick with me. Have you ever gone on a crazy weekend drinking? You end up meeting a stranger on a night out that you can't be pulled away from, and you actually neglect the friends that you went out with to talk to this person. Then, the stranger that you met on a night out, you bump into when you're sober on a Thursday afternoon in Tesco or a Monday morning on the way to work. You stop to talk to them, but it just feels clunky and awkward and you don't know what to say to them. Maybe you haven't experienced this before, maybe some of you have. But the point I'm getting at is, when we don't have a drink in our hand, these people that we spend time with out drinking, we don't have much in common with them. So when we do quit alcohol, maybe some socializing will be difficult, but only for the people who don't really belong in your life. Let me know in the comments before, have you ever made a friend when you've gone out drinking, but when you're with them? Let me know in the comments below if you've made friends with someone drunk, but then when you've been with them sober, you have nothing in common. I'm keen to know. This leads me on to my next point, especially relevant for the men who watch this channel. You think if you stop drinking, you'll struggle to meet women and you'll get less sex. Coming from a sober man with 5 years experience and 3 of them being sober, I'm going to share my experiences with you. I actually conducted an experiment at the start of this year. Some of you who watch this channel know that I quit Australia last year and my job to go all in on coaching you guys how to quit alcohol. You can also book me for one-to-one coaching, the link is below. But last year, I lived in the bush in Australia. For those of you who don't know what the bush is, it's basically the outback, but instead of being a desert, it's just full of bushes. There's absolutely nothing there. I'm going to be honest with you, I thought I'd lost it. 0 women around, and I went on 1 date throughout the whole entire year. This sounds sad now, but I actually had to keep looking in the mirror to make sure that I was still there. Turns out I was. But anyway, at the start of this year, when I left Australia and moved to Bali, I set myself the target of talking to 3 girls every day. And I went on so many dates, and none of them involved alcohol. And do you know what the funny thing is? None of them even wanted to drink alcohol. The quality of women was handpicked out of choice, not out of desperation. And I even managed to go out with a famous singer. Now, I didn't know this at the time of picking her up, but I soon realised after we'd been out together. But that is a story for another time. You can argue the point that yes, if you go into the bar, club or pub every single weekend drinking, then you're going to get more leads. So there might be some truth to that. When you stop drinking, you might meet less women. But the quality that you will tolerate will be a lot higher. I think it's fair to say that most men will probably take what they can get when it comes to women. And well, when you're drinking on a night out, those standards completely go out the window. And don't lie, guys, you all know when the club lights come on and there's no other options, you will take a 5 or a 6 home. But the question is, do you want to keep doing that, or do you want to quit alcohol and level up? Because when you do quit alcohol, the only way is up. This ties into my next point perfectly for those who still want to go out once they've stopped drinking. Nobody notices that you're not drinking alcohol. Now, this point carries a little bit of a cheat code to it as well. You can get the confidence of alcohol, but without the hangover. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. When I first gave up alcohol, when I went to venues where people were drinking, I was always mindful that people would somehow spot me with a drink in my hand, which wasn't vodka. When I first quit drinking, I was always mindful that people would spot me drinking water instead of vodka. I was like, I hope I don't get caught as if I was doing something illegal. How crazy does that sound? 9 times out of 10, people never noticed that I wasn't drinking alcohol. There were a few occasions when some people would say, do you want a drink? I'll get you a Jack and Coke. And I'd have to say, look, I'm just drinking Coke. I'm not drinking alcohol. But the response I got was pretty good. It was like, good for you. And sure, I did get some responses from people which were a little bit awkward, but I didn't want to be like them people anyway, so it didn't matter. Then one day, I came across this hack. I was in the off-license, bottle, liquor store, whatever you guys call it, and I spotted on the shelf Peroni 00. My life was about to change. Sitting in the pre-drinks before going out on the town, I was drinking this Peroni, and surprisingly, I started to feel like I was drunk. I just had this relaxed care feeling like I was drinking alcohol. One thing to take away from this, what goes up must come down. Even a sober high comes with a crash and low once the night is over. That leads me perfectly to the next uncommon learning. Understanding the honeymoon phase. Now, I've spoken about this before. When you quit alcohol, you're going to feel absolutely amazing. I can promise you. I've done a video on this. 0 to 30 days, you're just going to feel absolutely awesome. But after this period, you will start to feel a bit of a crash and low. Now, this is because of something called sober clarity. you are going to become highly aware of all the things you've done in the past, like wasting time, getting arrested, whatever it is. And you're going to have this clarity where you're going to want to start to level up in life, and then you're going to start setting audacious goals. This happens to me even now, and I'm almost 5 years sober. I see where I was, the time I wasted, and where I want to be, and how long it's going to take for me to get there. And if I don't put myself straight, it's going to put me down. So you're going to feel really good when you first quit, but then you're going to have to deal with a lot of emotions and a lot of frustrations. So just be mindful of this, because sadly, a lot of people quit drinking and then they don't know how to deal with sober clarity, and then they go back to drinking because it's just too painful for them. I also have a full video on when to stop drinking. If this happens to you, stop drinking immediately. And if that is enough to convince you, you can also check how to get rid of alcohol cravings. I always say, no craving, no problem. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.